Good morning, everyone. We're so glad you could join us here on Merrifield's Gardening Advisor today. And as you can see, this is not Peg Beer, this is David Yost. And I'm so glad David's here today. He's been fighting a little something the last couple days, and it's gotten a little, his voice is a little worse this morning. So glad you're hanging in here.
Well, it's always great to be here, but I apologize if I sound hoarse or I'm difficult to understand.
Yeah.
I'm just getting over a cold.
Right. We both got some voice issues going on. So if you hear us clearing our throats or whatever, please forgive us.
Yeah, just be patient. It's
right.
Live TV, and that's what we got to deal with.
Exactly. So we've got a great show for you today. Of course, it's a great time to plant, and something that's always appreciated in anyone's landscape are evergreens. So, David, you have brought all kinds of ideas for us today.
Oh yeah, and they're so versatile, and there's so many to choose from. But you're right. I thought, well, as the leaves are coming off the tree right now, and you're starting to see your landscape in a little different light, it might be a good time to sort of evaluate where evergreens could fit into the garden. So we're going to start right off with some pictures here. We say pictures worth
video.
Right, and that's pictures worth 1,000 words. So this must be worth about 5,000. So
absolutely.
So I don't really have to say anything.
That's right.
No.
They are just gorgeous.
Yeah, but this is a display we put together at the front of the store with fall and winter color. You know, there really is color at every time of the year. The evergreens, which you see back there, the blue spruce and the junipers. But in front of that, what they really do is providing contrast for this striking bark that was on that river birch that's there.
Speaking of striking, look at that.
Right, berries like you're seeing there on the winterberry holly, again, which just adds so much color into the wintertime when we're in desperate need of color. But again, we're talking about the evergreens, which really provide nice background for that. So this is just a whole collection of ways you can get color in your landscape right now. A little bit in front of that, you can see there's an azalea. You don't think of azaleas as taking a fall color, but some of them do. As a way to pull out, that bright yellow is a gold mops cypress, which again, that color is there year round. But again, when everything is sort of gray and drab, that just gets intensified.
Absolutely.
So you obviously wouldn't landscape your yard like this. Everything's kind of packed in there tight like that, but it's just to give you an idea of the variety that exists out there, both in color, texture, shapes. This kind of has that little bit of a weeping shape and form to it. And again, they're tough. They're easy to grow. They do their best out in the sun. If they get in the shades, and that color becomes less intense. You can see the blue spruce there, which again is grown for the striking color that's in that. Now this little guy, this is a cryptomeria. We're going to be seeing cryptomeria in its full size later on in the program. That's a globe form that's there, and that's backing up the spruce tree. So again, just another view of some of the vast different colors, shapes, forms that you can add to your landscape for great color right now. That's great.
Okay. Well, before we get started, a few quick announcements. You know, of course, Thanksgiving is a few short days away, hard to believe. But that, of course, kicks off the entire holiday season. So at Merrifield Garden Center, we'd like to help you get ready for the holidays. Starting today, we've got our classes going on. We've got 2 classes today, one at Fair Oaks and one at Gainesville. There you see Joyce doing, I guess that was last year's class on holiday decorating. And she, along with Peg, and I think Amy may be doing that today too, are going to be presenting Christmas floral designs at our Fair Oaks location today at 10 a.m. And so basically that's just what it sounds like. You can learn to make beautiful holiday arrangements with artificial greens, flowers, and berries. You know, and they really do today, the way the artificials look, they look so real. It's just amazing. So they had set it up the last couple days, and they are just spectacular. So you can see the finished products. They'll give you some how-to, show you how to put these things together, along with some ideas of adding things to accent and that type of thing. So it's a great class to take. Absolutely free at our Fair Oaks location at 10 a.m. this morning. At our Gainesville location this morning, how to create a festive container garden. And Karen Rexroad is going to be doing that. So, you know, if you've got an empty container, or, you know, a container that the annuals have faded and you want to do something with them, make them look a little better for the holiday season, you can turn that into a beautiful display for the holidays. Evergreen branches, berries, pine cones. She's going to show you lots of ways to create a beautiful, festive holiday container. So we will have more classes, 2 more classes coming up later on in the 1st of December. So wanted to mention that as well. But these will end our fall and holiday session, and then of course our January session will start up too with more seminars. We'll have that schedule is being put together right now, so that will be exciting too. So always something happening, fun and educational at Merrifield Garden Center. I do want to mention. Did you want to show some of these? Oh, okay. Did want to mention that. We had a great time the other night. I want to thank everybody. Kicking off the holiday season, you know, if you've been in Merrifield Garden Center in our stores lately, you'll see that we've been, over the past month or two, turning it into Christmas shops at each of the locations, and they're just spectacular. Well, we had a great kickoff Thursday night at our ladies' night out, so we want to thank everybody who came. It was a spectacular event. We had lots of fun.
Yeah, that was, and thank you. Really enjoyed our Christmas carolers there as well. Thank you, Debbie.
That's why my voice is a little hoarse. We sang, Naomi and Tanya and I sang for 3 hours at our Fair Oaks location singing Christmas carols. That was a lot of fun.
And it was fabulous.
Thank you. But we had a great time, but it was a great opportunity to see what we have for the holidays and get a head start on Christmas. But next weekend, just wanted to give you a heads up, we will be having our holiday open house at all 3 locations. So that's always a fun time. There'll be refreshments and music and just lots of decorating ideas. Just a very festive atmosphere. So, you know, after you've hit your Black Friday sales and that type of thing, you can come on in and start getting your home decorated for the holidays. There's lots of gift ideas there as well, but that will be at all 3 locations. And of course, the big arrival of Santa Claus. As any of you have lived in this area for years know, at our Merrifield location, you know, the real Santa is there. He's in his house, and it's a tradition you don't want to miss. He arrives on Saturday, the 24th. We also have wonderful Santas at our Fair Oaks and Gainesville locations, and they will be there Friday night, I believe.
Yeah,
Friday evening,
exactly. Starting
locations.
Friday, open house weekend.
Open house weekend. So have your turkey dinner, get together with your family, and get ready for the holidays the next day. So it'll be a fun weekend. So lots going on.
Yeah, super quick. I brought in these sprigs to show. I thought we looked at the winterberry hollies in a little video. We're talking about the decorating, and while these are not evergreens, you typically think about hollies as evergreens. They shed their leaves, but the berries persisted. I wanted to show that there's a variety of colors that are out there as well.
Let me hold that up a little bit so we can see this.
So these are going to be useful in your holiday decorating. I'm sure you'll learn more about those in the seminars, and they're just great for winter interest in the landscape. I want you to see it where you can have either the gold or the red to work with.
That's great.
But like all hollies, you know, you need boys and girls. The girls produce the berries, so you have to buy them in pairs.
Great. Okay, well, let's take a quick break, and we'll come back with more on evergreens. Forgot to mention later on the show, we'll be taking your phone calls as well, so stay tuned for that as well. We'll be right back. Hi everybody, welcome back to Merrifield's Gardening Advisor. We're talking about evergreens today. And I know most people think of evergreens in the landscape. Can be smaller, can be large, but they don't have to be super large. If you don't have a whole lot of space, a miniature garden is the way to go.
They are, and I just kind of wanted to show how versatile this group of plants really is. So we're starting here at the one extreme of the super tiny miniature ones.
Right.
And what happens, you know, you're looking at arborvitae and chamaecyparis here. These are the same plants that you would use in your landscape as full-size trees or shrubs. But these are actually their mutations that are found in nature, and for some reason they're sort of the runt of the litter would be the way of talking about. Just genetically, they don't develop to the full size as their parents do. So the breeders and growers, they find this and find these little quirky growth patterns and then clone them or propagate them. So we end up with this huge variety that goes on out there in the landscape. Right, so like the little miniature Christmas tree, you know, that's an Alberta spruce. The parent tree grows to be 60 feet tall, but this was a little miniature one that was found at a train station outside of Alberta, Canada. Somebody recognized it and propagated it. So a lot of these, like I say, these are varieties or cultivars of the parent trees, which can get quite large. But these are only going to grow, some of them grow only 1 to 2 inches a year, so they never really reach their mature size.
Right. We have a picture actually to show how to use these.
Right, so it's fun now. These are, you can see, put together in a little miniature garden with the little figure and the bridge and everything like that. So you can create your own little world with those. So that's a fun way to use evergreens.
It's very fun.
But now what I'm going to go to with our next picture is sort of the other extreme. We're going from one extreme to the other. And I want to begin by talking about evergreens to create privacy. Because this is a primary function. This is probably the main reason that people are putting them in there, is because you want to create a sense of privacy around your property or definition, block of view that you may not enjoy seeing. These are two of the most popular for that purpose, both the green giant arborvitae and Leyland cypress. The green giant, you can see again, these is a little more narrow, lighter green, a little denser in its upgrowth. The Leyland cypress is that darker green, a little more open. These are really hugely popular because they can grow 3, even 4 feet a year. So when people want privacy and they want it quick, they can put it in there. The Leyland cypress was sort of the tree of choice for many, many years, but they do seem to collect the snow, and a lot of people lost them when we had those blizzards and heavy snows. And now more and more people are moving towards the green giant arborvitae. I think they're both very useful plants in the landscape. To me, they're a little bit crowded in here. You'd like to give them a little room to grow, but a nice choice if you want to create that screening.
Beautiful screening.
And you want to get it done quick. Now the next picture is another example of arborvitae. You can see in the middle, but this is a variety, it's called emerald green. Emerald green grows to a height of about maybe 15 feet tall, so keep that in mind. A lot of times people put things like the green giant or the Leyland cypress in, they'll grow 30 feet, 40 feet tall, and maybe that's good, but maybe you don't need that much height. So you kind of want to take a longer range view in there, and my main reason for putting this in was what I like is the variety of plants that are in there. It's a little hard to make out, but you've got Nellie Stevens holly, the arborvitae, boxwood in the foreground, yews. So you've got 4 different types of evergreens mixed in there, you know, along crepe myrtle and other plants. Whenever you're planting, we really, really need to have a diversity of plants in our landscape. Just like if a lot of times people plant one big long row of Leyland cypress, but when we get heavy storms and high winds and everything, then you sustain a lot of damage. Or if you say, you know, you're just planting all arborvitae and you get an infestation of bagworms, then that can go through and destroy them all. So I really like to see people mix it up and not settle on one plant, but put them in there in groupings. So I thought this was a nice example. And then next one, I get a little closer up view so you get an idea that's out there. Nellie Stevens is probably the hardiest, most vigorous, most robust of all the hollies you can grow. Really nice dark green foliage that's in there, good berry producer, hybrid between an English and a Chinese holly. So phenomenal plant to grow. But again, they get big. You need to allow room for that. I've seen people put these by their front door, and then, you know, this tree grows to be 30 feet tall and, you know, 15 feet wide over time. So it's something that really, they respond well to pruning, but you really need to allow some room to grow. And a nice textural contrast there. That emerald green arborvitae's been around a long time, but really does such a nice job in confined spaces. So those are plants you're familiar with. The next holly is a new plant that you may not be so familiar with. Virginia holly, it really has just kind of been released in the trade the last few years. Beautiful dark green, lustrous foliage, good berry producer. Again, it's going to get some size to it, but it might be an alternative to the Nellie Stevens, just to kind of have some choices out there.
I like the name of that plant too, Virginia holly.
Yeah, I like it too. And then there's Cryptomeria, which is a big evergreen. Again, these are kind of in an immature stage. They're probably about 10 or 12 foot tall in this picture, but it gives you a nice textural contrast. It is a needled evergreen, but it's not prickly to the touch. It kind of has this puffy, delicate look to it that you just feel like you want to go up there and caress. You don't see them used as often, but it's a nice choice to provide. I don't like to put them in really, really exposed windy areas or you can get some winter damage on. So it does better with a little bit of shelter. And so this is a young one, and I want to give you an idea of the mature one, because that's the biggest thing when you're planting these screens, is to keep in mind how they're going to grow and perform. And again, with a cryptomeria, you can expect 1 to 2 feet a year of growth on there. But this is where they've reached, starting to get their full size of 20 plus feet. And they're combined also with some evergreens for ground covers, like the juniper, the blue rug juniper, and then also that blue mop cypress back there. So nice composition, different colors, textures, heights, all done with evergreens. Very low maintenance, easy care type of landscape.
And I think you have 2 more?
2 more that we'll go to, and then we got to take a break.
Right.
We saw this in the little video introducing the topic, but I just wanted to get a little closer look at it. The blue spruce, again, is a nice accent plant. It can also be used for screening. Now with blue spruce, what will happen is there are some blue spruce that are green. There are some that have this powder blue color. You have to buy one that's propagated specifically for that blue color if that's what you're after. Again, blue spruce, it's really a northern plant. It loves the cold weather. Our hot, dry summers will put a stress on it. So if you're going to use it, I think it's something that, if there is a way you can take a little bit of heat off of it, with a light shade, that's not bad, but then the color starts to fade. The other is to kind of keep an eye on the watering during prolonged drought. And then one last one here before our break that's just absolutely tough as nails. This is the red cedar. It's a native juniper that you see growing all over the place. Heat and drought tolerant, does well in our soils. Again, it's a native plant. But this is a good choice for evergreen screening. Not many people use it because it's so commonplace, but now their varieties have been selected to get a little bit of that blue-gray color in them to make it a little more attractive.
Wonderful plant. Well, we've talked about some of the evergreen trees. Now, when we come back from this break, we'll clue you in on some of the great evergreen shrubs for your landscape. We'll be right back. Reminder, get your cup of coffee or tea, settle down, get your notepad together, and learn something about some great evergreen shrubs in this segment.
Well, I'm drinking my lemon tea, hoping my voice will hold out to the end of the show. So again, I appreciate everybody's patience with me. So this is a fantastic time to be planting trees, shrubs, bulbs, everything that's out there. The idea is that you're planting now, late in the season, but the roots are still growing, giving them time to get established in there. And also there's less stress on the plants and everything. You don't have the hot summer weather to deal with.
Still need to watch the watering, though.
That's exactly what I wanted to mention. Is the thing is, new plants, you have to pay attention to them.
Very important.
You got to pay and look at the water. It's just like, and you're going to get tired of hearing me say it, but it's like you're taking home a 2-day-old baby, and you're going to have to take care of it during that initial time. As it gets older and the roots get established, then they're really pretty durable and can do well on their own.
Right.
But what will happen is, like last year, we had an extremely dry winter.
Yes.
And in normal weather conditions, we have rain and sleet and snow, and a lot of times that's sufficient to keep the plants watered. But with evergreens, especially broadleaf evergreens, they're continuing to transpire. They're losing water through their leaves. And if we run into dry conditions, you're going to have to go out in there and do a little supplemental watering. So the question comes up, how do you know if the plant's dry? How do you know if it needs water? The only way to really tell is by checking the soil. You can't always tell by looking at the plant. Now, my favorite way of doing this is a soil probe that you just push down into the ground, and it pulls a column of soil up right here, and at that point you can look at it, you can touch it, you can feel it. There's no guesswork goes on. So we love these kind of soil probes, and ask that you maybe consider getting one of these if you have new plants, and you can go out there and check the moisture right there in the root ball, know what's going on. Now, we have also spent a lot of time evaluating different moisture meters, and we do sell this moisture meter, and we have this available to you. Basically, it goes in the ground and it gives you a reading. It tells you anywhere from where it's 0%, meaning totally, completely dry, to 100%, which is totally completely saturated. So this probe will give you a measure of the soil moisture also, but then you're kind of left having to interpret the data that you have, which is why I go back to where I really like the one where you pull some soil out, you touch it, feel it, and there's no guesswork that goes into that.
Nice to have those little pieces of equipment to help out. Also to help out, we've come up with some new brochures on watering and on planting too, but Water with Purpose, and if you had a landscape installed by our landscape department, watering your new landscape, these are great guides for watering any time of the year, whether you're first planting or whether they're in the first couple of years. So be sure to pick up one of those. You can always go to our website, merrifieldgardencenter.com, and access these as well. So.
Great. Can't say enough. That's really the most critical part of getting your plants to thrive in gardening.
Right.
But we'll get back in now to the evergreens, which is what we're talking about, because everybody loves the beautiful foliage and plants this time of year. And we talked earlier about miniature evergreens. We talked about big evergreens you can use for screening. We're going to talk about, show you a few shrubs.
Great.
Because a lot of times, even when we talk about creating a sense of enclosure or screening that's in there, it doesn't always require a big full-size tree. Here are some evergreen shrubs that can do the same thing. Now, Photinia, you can see I have a picture of it where the new growth is coming out in that deep red color. Soon after that happens, it also blossoms in the spring with the white flowers there, and then it has evergreen foliage throughout the winter. It responds well to shearing and pruning, so a lot of times these are planted as hedges. Now, it's so that's certainly one that can be grown as a good choice for this area. So that's the red-tip Photinia. A cousin to it, I would say, is the skip laurel. The skip laurel, which you'll see in your next picture, is closely related. It's very, very popular because, again, that dense green foliage. You can see again here where it's grown as a hedge in there. The skip laurel, it'll easily grow 6, 8 feet tall, and on an old plant, they'll get even bigger, 10, 12 feet tall. But you can, again, go in there and shear it and control it. It makes a really nice, dense background or screen. And then you can also see in our next picture what it looks like when it's flowering. So it does get little white flowers in spring, which is really kind of secondary value. Its primary value is the deep green foliage there. Now, both Photinia and the laurels, they're both in the rose family. That's why I say they're cousins to each other. And as such, they do have a few more pest problems. You can see some leaf spot, fungal leaf spots, bacterial leaf spot. We're seeing a lot of them have this scale, which looks kind of this white, snowy, almost looks like a mold growing along the stems. So they're great plants for creating that screen, but you do need to keep an eye on the pest management with them. They require a little more care than some of the others. An alternative that you might want to look at is we switch over and look at viburnums. Viburnums, different plant family, and you can see in the background. I just love seeing that Easter head. I know, you're probably tired of seeing in that picture.
I crack up every time I see this picture.
Yeah, but that's down at American University. That is one of the, Easter Island heads there is in there, but really what we're talking about is the viburnum in the background. So I've got a close-up picture of this viburnum in our next shot. This is Chindoviburnum, which again I think is maybe underutilized. It is an evergreen form of viburnum, and you can see it gets quite tall and quite large. So this would be if you're looking to create a big screening. We're talking about 10, 12 feet tall or something, but it's one that certainly merits attention. And a lot of times we think of viburnum, most of them shed their leaves in the wintertime, but there are some evergreen ones like this Chindo, or another nice evergreen viburnum is the leatherleaf viburnum. And we've got that. But again, you can see this is big. So this is why you don't see these plants used, I think, as much, because they do require some space. But if you have a large property and you can put a big hedge border in there, it's a nice way to create that privacy and enclosure. So that's what the plant looks like. And then up close here, you'll get a look at what the foliage, the leaf looks like on it, if we can forward there.
The close-up on that? Let's see.
Yeah.
There we go.
So I love it for that big, coarse, rough textured leaf. You can see it in bloom. And if you plant them in groups and you get cross-pollination, you can actually get some good berry production out of it, which again enhances their winter interest in there. And then finally, while we're talking about evergreen shrubs, you know, I'd be remiss if I didn't say at least something about boxwood, because again, boxwood is so versatile. This is the trial gardens trying to show the diversity of heights, shapes, and sizes, whether you want something that's going to be a low border that's only about 18 inches tall, or you want a tall accent, you know, that's going to be 6 feet tall. Intermediate sizes, again, these are just great choices, and there have been so many new varieties that are out there. Again, I'm a real fan. You've heard me of the hybrids that are out there where they've taken the Korean boxwood and the English boxwood and hybridized them. Right. So green gem, green beauty, green velvet, those are all tough as nails. And one last picture is boxwood that has a variegated leaf. So again, it's just a way that you can add a little spice of color, and here it's used more as an accent, show the versatility of that group of plants.
Super. Okay, we're going to take a quick break and come back with some specimens to delight your garden. Stay tuned. Okay, we're talking about evergreens today, and you know, if you want something spectacular in your yard, a specimen evergreen just can't be beat. And we've got a couple of ideas to show you here that something you can make your neighbors wow over. So let's start with our first picture, which is a weeping white pine. This was taken at our Fair Oaks location. That is, you could just go underneath that, make a little fort out of it almost.
Yeah, it really is attractive. Now, when we talk about as accents, these they're evergreens that basically they have something distinctive, and here it's their shape where it's got that weeping, drooping form to it. A lot of you know white pine, which is used sometimes as a screening plant, but they get quite tall and they're very upright. Again, this is one that it was a mutation that was discovered and sort of propagated, and now because of its distinctive shape becomes a real focal point in the garden. So that's a weeping white pine, very kind of similar on the same sort of thinking there is the weeping blue Atlas cedar.
Now this one you've seen, if you come into our Fair Oaks location, you can't have missed this one.
Yeah, and that really is one of the most beautiful specimens I've ever seen of that plant. Again, the blue Atlas cedar by itself, you know, just a straight species, is very narrow, very upright in its growth, and is used sometimes as an accent because of the distinctive blue color. But here you take that blue color and you add it with that drooping, weeping form, and you've got something really special.
It really is.
And just like we do at our store, where we use it right at the entrance, a lot of times that's where I think it's nice to put a focal point, you know, sort of to alert people to the entrance, to draw your attention there. Sometimes I see when I think you have too many of these used in the landscape and it gets distracting, but
one or two is perfect.
Exactly. You write it, and you kind of pick just the right spot, you know, where you actually want to draw attention.
And then landscape around it.
Right. Now, the next one is one that you don't see used that often. Again, I think just because it takes up some room, it needs some space to grow. But if you have the space to grow, this weeping Nootka false cypress is really beautiful, dramatic plant. Again, you can see how it has that pendulous, weeping kind of growth habit. And again, this plant's tough, it's durable, it doesn't require any kind of special care or attention. You just plant it out there, keep an eye on the watering, and let it grow. So those are a few ideas that you can have, and you can see all those require a little bit of space.
Right. We got one more?
Okay, we do. Again, this is back to our display gardens out at the Fair Oaks store. And in the background, you know, next to the flag, you can see a weeping Norway spruce. I know I showed all these different weeping plants, but again, these are, we had looked at Norway spruce and we looked at the blue Atlas cedar and all, but these are just where you have that weeping form that really makes them stand out and make a nice focal point or accent.
Great. Really
and then I brought a few plants in the show on the set as well.
So if we can take a little pan through these plants on the set, that would be great. There you go.
So again, we just brought these in and give you an idea of some of the options that are out there. That nice kind of powder blue color, that's called a Wichita blue juniper. A lot of you think of junipers as being kind of spiny and prickly, which they can be, but this one's a little more soft in its texture. This will get quite large. It'll grow to be 10, 12 feet tall, narrow and upright, so it can be used to create a screen. It can also be used as an accent because the way that color stands out. Now, it's my experience that the plant, as it gets really old, it kind of starts to lose some of the color. And if you get about 20 years out of it, then you've done well. Now, we've talked about a lot about evergreens for color and texture and shape, but right now you're looking at a Camellia sasanqua. These are in bloom right now. Their peak bloom season is the month of November. That's a variety, it's called Yuletide, which is selected because it's close to a true red. So again, evergreens, they can also add color in terms of flowers to your garden. So that's certainly one to look at. And we've got a big selection of hardy camellias now, because they were always concerned about their winter hardiness, but they've been developed for good cold tolerance, and it adds flowers at a time of year where nothing else does. And next to it is that cryptomeria. We've seen cryptomeria at the beginning of the show in a globe form. We saw cryptomeria as a tall plant to use in screening. This is cryptomeria as a variety called Black Dragon that peaks out somewhere at about 8–10 feet tall, but it's a very slow grower, so it takes a long time to get there. It can make a nice accent. And next to it is the Chamaecyparis, the Hinoki false cypress. And again, there's many, many varieties of this. Some of them grow 30 feet tall, some of them grow 3 feet tall, some of them are a dark green, or you can get some of them have this nice golden color to it. So again, that's a terrific plant to use in a variety of situations.
So many choices, so many choices. So we do, and we keep a great selection of plants all fall long, all winter long at Merrifield Garden Center. So come in anytime and take a look. We have a mild winter. We'll be planting all winter long too. So you can always plant as long as that ground's not frozen. So great time to plant now, as you were saying at the beginning of the show. We are going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to take your phone calls. So please give us a call if you have any questions or just want to say hi or just talk. 703-387-1046. We'll be right back. Hi everybody, welcome back. It's phone call time, so we love getting to talk to you here on Merrifield's Gardening Advisor. If you have any questions, give us a call, 703-387-1046. David, our first caller today is Tom, who's calling from Fairfax Station. Hey Tom, how are you?
Hey, good morning.
Well, good morning.
David, I hope you feel better. You don't sound too good.
Yeah.
No, I sound worse than I feel. I actually feel okay, but thank you.
I have two evergreen questions. One is, you mentioned the Leyland cypress. I have 4 on one side, and I didn't have the one strapped off right. And during Hurricane Sandy, it blew over on its side, and was there for about 3 days. And then young son came by, and it's about 18 feet tall, and he helped me. I pushed it back up and watered it in and gave it some hollytone. Do you think it will survive this incident and come back?
I'm not real hopeful for you. I mean, try it, we'll see what happens. But our experience has been really, if they get much over 10, maybe 12 feet tall, it's very difficult to really get them back upright and rooted in there well enough. Kind of what our experience has been is, okay, it's there, it's fine, but the next big storm you get, the next high winds, it's quite likely it might topple over again. Mm-hmm. So you've done the right thing, you try it, you see how it goes, but I wouldn't really count on it.
Okay. The second thing is, David, I had in the backyard at different points, I had a flowering peach and a plum tree, and then one blew over, and then the other one it got cankers and stuff. So I'd like to put some evergreens along this fence line in the back, but it's very shady back there. I have a Nellie Stevens in the front, and I have viburnums on the back left that are both done well, but I'm wondering what kind of evergreen would do well in a pretty shady area.
Yeah, that's kind of a tough situation. I mean, anything you can do to get some lighting in there is good. But are you thinking in terms of shrubs or more trees?
I think, ideally, like what I have on the back left, I had those leather viburnums, and they, right, like you said, I used to trim them, and then one time you told us to stop doing that, so I stopped, and they're about 13 feet high. I mean, that would be ideal.
Right. You could also look at the skip laurel. That's got pretty good shade tolerance in there.
Okay.
I was trying to think. I just had another one in my mind. Of course, Akuba is probably the most shade tolerant of all the evergreens. But it's hard. Skip laurel, Akuba would be two. Look at. Oh, the other I was thinking about was called a plum yew. It looks like a yew, but it's actually in a different family. So that's the. It's called Japanese plum yew, and again, there's some different varieties on that.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
All right. All right. Take care, and look forward to seeing you at the garden center.
Yeah, likewise. Take care, David.
Okay.
Bye-bye, Tom. Okay, let's see. Felicia is calling next from Clinton, Maryland. Hi, Felicia.
Hello.
How are you this morning?
Good morning.
I'm well, thank you.
Good, good. What can we do for you? What's your question?
I have two questions.
Okay.
One, this is the second winter for my hydrangeas. So when and how do I cut those back? And how do I promote growth for an amarilla?
Okay, let me ask, do you know what variety of hydrangea you have?
I do not.
Okay, generally speaking, you have to be very careful with the hydrangeas on the pruning because the growth that formed this year is the growth that's going to bloom for you next summer. So if you cut them back, you risk losing the flowers. Now there's an exception to that. If you happen to have one of the Endless Summer series, these are repeat flowering hydrangeas, those you can do the pruning on. So let me just kind of back up here a little bit. Say the safe thing to do is kind of keep the pruning to a minimum. Just what I would do is a little bit of just light shaping and trimming. And then if you feel like it is getting too big, then it's what I would call selective thinning, where you go in and you just take out a little bit of the growth at each time. Otherwise, if you cut the plant back severely, the plant recovers, it's okay, but it may cost you the flowers for a year or two.
Okay.
So be stingy on that.
In the summer.
Right. Now your amaryllis, is it just a bulb right now, or is it actually growing?
It has foliage.
Okay. Probably about the thing to do, if you wanted to bloom during the holidays, you should have started going into a dormant state about 6 or 8 weeks ago. But what you'll need to do is at some point in time, you're just going to stop watering it. And the plants, the leaves are going to wither, they're going to yellow, they're going to dry up. You cut the old leaves off, and then you take that bulb and you put it into a rest period. Just take it, stick it in your closet, cool, dark place for about 6 or 8 weeks. After it goes through that rest period, then you bring it out of the closet, put it back out in the warm sunshine, resume watering it and fertilizing it, and that's how you get to initiate the flowering. So at some point in time, you're just going to have to put it into this rest period, and you do that by withholding water. And it's really your choice as to when you want to do that. But if you want amaryllis to flower for you at Christmas time, though, you're going to have to go out and buy some new bulbs.
An excuse to go buy some new bulbs.
Yeah,
there you
exactly.
I did start the drying out period. I put it in the garage and hasn't watered.
Good.
But the foliage is still very green.
All right, well, just be patient. When it starts to yellow, cut it off, allow it some time to rest, and then you can bring it back out and start the flowering cycle over.
go. Great.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
You too.
Okay. Okay, Lizanne is on our next caller, and she's calling from Woodbridge. Hi, how are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Good, thanks.
I'm doing okay.
I hope
I've been better.
I know.
your cold feels better.
Oh, well, thank you.
Here's my question. You hit last week on the banana tree, with the frozen leaves, cut it up and everything. I did all that. I took it out of the ground because it's still in the pot, and I brought it in to put it in the basement, but it's growing.
Now, which tree you're talking about?
Banana.
Oh, the banana.
Banana. Okay.
So it's still growing?
Yeah. It grew, in the space of this past week, it grew about 3 inches.
Now, where are you keeping it?
Well, it was right outside the door in the backyard. I didn't want to bring it in because I was too warm, but I needed to find out if I needed to take it out of the dirt.
I'm not going to say you have to take it out of the dirt. Now, it doesn't. I'm a little surprised that it's starting to grow because we had some pretty cool temperatures.
I know.
Right. I know. I'm not sure what to say. I mean, I know that mine, because I brought in last week, mine's not growing at all, and it's just been sitting in the back of my car, quite honestly. I took it out in the car yesterday. I would just keep try and leave it alone, sort of let nature take its course.
Okay.
Surely, we've had some cold temperatures, and it's going to stop growing at some point in time here. And once you really see that the frost hit it, the growth has stopped.
And I stop watering it, okay? Is that it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're trying to put this guy into dormancy. So once it stops growing, you cut all that withered foliage off and then try to keep it, like you said, about 50,
I did all
55
that.
degrees.
You show how to cut it, and
Right.
and everything, and now I have in the middle this little shoot is growing.
Yeah, well, it's not supposed to do that till next spring, but it's really a function of the temperatures, and just be a little patient with it, and it'll stop.
Okay.
Because yeah, I mean, it will start that little shoot coming out of the center, but that's not supposed to happen till next year.
Okay. It's going to be in the dark. Is that okay too?
Oh yeah, that's fine, because it's going to be in a resting state.
Okay. And you answered the other question with the addressum in the bulb, so I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good weekend. Take care. We're going to take a quick break and come back with more of your phone calls. Okay, David, let's try to get a couple more phone calls in before we have to call it a morning. Joe is calling from Solomons, Maryland. Hey, Joe, you there?
Good morning.
Good
Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you.
Hi.
What's your question?
My question is about the Nellie Stevens. You were talking about them earlier, David.
Right.
We have 3 beautiful mature specimens out here, and I'm looking at them right now, but depending on how you look at them, they're all swirling branches. And I'm wondering if they can be pruned back moderately, or if they're to the point where maybe we need to engage in a restoration type prune. And if so, what that might consist of.
Well, of course, they respond really well to pruning. So, I mean, you just use your judgment, and you can get as aggressive as you'd like to on them. Now, I would prefer to do that sometime around March as opposed to right now. If you're going to do just a little bit of light shaping or something, go ahead and do that now. But if you're going to get aggressive, taking like 25% or more of the growth off, I'd rather do that in March.
All right. Yeah, there's no rush.
Yeah, but if they're and they, like I say, if they're getting too big or they're getting kind of loose or open, like I say, don't be bashful. Even if you cut into the old wood, they'll regrow, fill back in, and within a month or two, they're looking just gorgeous all over again.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. These are mature. I'm upstairs, and I'm still looking up at them as I look out at them.
Right.
So they're very large.
Yeah.
Depending on how you look at them, you see mostly swirling branches, though.
And I'm not exactly sure what you mean by swirling. Is it sort of open, just not giving you the density you want?
I guess not. Just not density. The density is lacking. When you look at them, you see mostly branches and not the green growth. And that depends on the perspective.
Yeah.
From many angles, they are beautiful trees.
Well, it'd probably be worth the time to go in there and shear them at the least, just with garden shears. And I know they're tall, so that might involve some ladder work. But if you want to shear them just to increase the density in this next spring growth season, that would be good. And if you feel like you want to reduce their size, go for that at the same time.
Can they be topped, or do you just take the branches back severely?
They can be topped. Yeah, definitely. They are such tough, durable, resilient plants. You just cut them to whatever shape, height, size that you want, and they'll regrow. They'll fill back in that same season.
Well, excellent. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks for the call.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, let's see. Mary is calling from D.C. Hi, Mary.
Good morning. How are you?
Good
both?
morning.
We're good. How are you?
I am well, thank you.
Good.
I just wanted to ask you or David, I have amaryllis that grew all summer outside,
Right.
and now they have these long green whatever. Should I cut them off or leave them? What should I do?
Well, amaryllis responds to a wet-dry cycle. So what I would do is stop watering them. Just take the water away from them, and allow. Then those leaves will start to yellow and wither.
So they won't bloom this year, right?
Probably not this year, no, because they need to go through a rest period before they'll start to flower again. So they need to go through a dry dormancy. So you're going to let them dry up, cut the old leaves off of it, and then after about a 6 to 8 week rest period, then you can start the growth cycle over and they'll flower. And I should mention Peggy's going to be including a bigger presentation on amaryllis next week, so you can watch that and get all the details as well.
I see, so I guess I have to go buy new ones for the Christmas holiday.
That's exactly right.
Thank you so
What
much
a
for your
shame.
advice.
It's always
Hey,
nice to have
you
to
can always
get
have
that.
more.
Good morning. I love your show.
Thank you so
thank
much.
you.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Okay, let's see if we can squeeze one more in. Anik, I believe it is, calling from
Yes.
White Plains. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good. You have a
Good
very
morning.
quick question?
Good morning.
Good morning. What's your question?
My question is, I bought, we planted 10 emerald green arborvitae in
Arborvitae?
April.
Arborvitae.
And in September, October, I saw those little white moths going into it. And now all in the inside turned copper. I cleaned all those leaves off, all those branches off, but now they're turning brown at the edge of the branches.
Okay, well, one thing is that interior yellowing is normal. That's kind of natural because they will shed that interior branchlets in the month of October. But where they're turning brown at the tips, that concerns me. And a couple things, because I'm going to run out of time here, but just first thing you want to do is check the water. Dig down there 4 or 5 inches and feel what's going on in the soil. It should just be moist. If it's soaking wet or bone dry, that could be the problem. And if the moisture checks out okay, then you'll need to get a sample into us or the extension program or something to see if maybe it's mites or scale. It could be a pest problem.
So sorry, we have to cut you off, Anik. So hopefully, like you said, bring a sample in if you need to. We're always there for you. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for being here, David. Go home.
Yeah, we made it.
We made it. Yes. Get some hot tea. Come to our seminars this weekend and have a great week.